Hey guys, this is Jan from DoraHacks, and welcome to the workshop of our cross-chain summer hackathon. And today is the first workshop, which is about how to build with BaaS.
Our cross-chain summer hackathon, and today is the first workshop, which is
So before we start, let me give you some background of this hackathon. As the largest Web3 multi-chain developer incentive platform, it's an honor for DoraHacks to support the cross-chain summer hackathon. And we're looking forward to seeing all the incredible projects building on top of Chainflip. And today we're very happy to have David Cumps here from BaaS. And without further ado, let's welcome David to start. And for the audience, if you do have any questions during the session, feel free to ask them in the YouTube and Binance Live chat room. So David, feel free to go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the introduction. We're the first to kick off the Hackathon workshop series, so I'm happy to kick it off. Today, we're going to have a look at Broker as a Service, which is short BaaS. It's also BOS in Dutch. We're going to start today with having a look at how hard it can be to integrate native cross-chain swapping into your application. And we'll learn that it's very easy to do with Chainflip and with a little help from Broker as a Service. What is Chainflip? Since I'm the first to kick off, I'm going to give you a short introduction. It lets you swap native assets, so no wrapped stuff of any kind, across different chains. Right now it's Ethereum, Bitcoin, Arbitrum, and Polkadot at great rates because they have a unique system of just-in-time liquidity, which allows them to make swaps with nearly no slippage with limited amount of liquidity in the system. And the nice thing is that everybody can integrate this into their application very easily as well. So let's have a look at two people who are building something. Like we have Alberto. He recently built a mobile swapping application, but it's limited to EVM chains only. So he's swapping across Ethereum and Arbitrum and BaaS and everything. But he's also a big Bitcoin fan, but he fears he has no way to offer it to the people using his app because he's limited to his EVM chains. Alberto is also a very passionate developer, but he has little IT ops skills, so keep that in mind when we go further into the story. And we also have Marco, who runs a successful aggregator service, but that takes a lot of his time. And his goal is to be very competitive in the market by having the best prices to offer to his users. So what are the limitations of both people? Technical limitations for Alberto, because he's a great developer, like I said, and Marco has limited time. So, can we help them? Can Chainflip help them? Alberto looked around and he saw that there is a solution to allow him to offer native Bitcoin to his users, as well as some other native assets on the site, thanks to Chainflip. And Marco saw that the pricing was great. And both of them looked through the docs of Chainflip, and they learned that to integrate Chainflip, they could become a broker, which allows them to offer the routes of Chainflip in their applications or in their exchange and aggregator in Marco's case, and allow them to set a commission of their liking so they can earn some income. But running a broker takes work. You have to run a broker node, a Chainflip node, and a broker API on the node to be able to connect to the Chainflip network. Alberto, like I said, is limited to his developer knowledge and not to his Linux skills to run a node. And Marco doesn't have the time to maintain them, to watch the Discord of Chainflip or the GitHub to stay up to date about releases. So they learned about Broker as a Service. It's a solution that I created to help people out in these specific scenarios who want to integrate Chainflip but don't have the time or the knowledge to do so. Additionally, because what the goal of helping these kind of people is to make it as easy as possible to integrate Chainflip. So additionally, it's also perfect for this hackathon for developers to start working on integrating Chainflip without any effort. So what is Broker as a Service? It's an API across broker infrastructure, redundantly set up broker infrastructure, which means you have a simple HTTP API to integrate into your application so you can start earning commissions. And you can forget about managing servers, managing updates, or anything else. Let's have a look at how easy it is to register in Broker as a Service. The requirements you need to do this is an EVM wallet with some Flip tokens in it, because you will need Flip tokens to fund your account. Just a very limited amount, like 5 Flip is okay. And we're going to do the demo on the testnet. There's a production version of Broker as a Service and a Sepolia version, which makes it easy for you to develop against and play with. So if Jan can share my screen. Yep, thank you. We start by going to chainflipbroker.io, and you're presented with the Broker as a Service website. Have a look around in the documentation if you like. It details all the features that Broker as a Service has, as well as takes you step by step through the registration process, which we'll do in a second with screenshots. So get familiar with the documentation if you'd like. Let's register an account on Broker as a Service. To have an account on the Chainflip network, Chainflip is built on Substrate, which means the Chainflip chain needs Polkadot to submit transactions to it. The first step that the registration page does is checking if you have Polkadot installed. If you don't, you can go there, you can say download for Chrome, and you can add it. In this case, I just disabled it, so I will just re-enable it. There we go. If you then go back to the registration page, you will see Polkadot pops up. The registration page checks that it's installed. It says, okay, this page wants to connect with Polkadot. We don't have an account yet, so let's create an account. I think, is this shared as well? Just double checking. Oh, no. I will fall back to my slides because I see that the Polkadot Chrome UI is not being shared on the screen. So Jan, if you could go back to my slides, please. Thank you. So the demo gods are not happy today, and that's why I've prepared this backup. I took slides of every step that we take during the registration. So we started out on the website, we clicked register, Polkadot was not installed, we installed it. This was what you were expected to see. When you refresh the page, Polkadot will say, Polkadot.js wallet will say, okay, you don't have an account. I understand it. Then you click the plus on your browser to add an account. You're free to use this passphrase for whatever you want. It's a demo account anyway. You create a new account, give it some name, give it a password. You add the account, and then you save this account somewhere because this is the same account you will need in the future to redeem your commission rewards. If you then refresh the page again, Broker as a Service will ask you to connect your account to the site, and it will check on Chainflip how much flip is in the account, and it will also list your broker account with starting with the CF number in front of it, which you can use later in the statistics to see how much you earned. You click the select button. In case you have multiple accounts in your Polkadot from other projects, make sure to select the right one. And then the first step is to fund it on Ethereum with some flip. So this is a usual flow that everybody knows, connecting their wallet and sending some tokens over. So right now we see that the chain flip balance is 0 flip. We connect our wallet. You pick whatever you have installed. In this case, I made a demo with MetaMask. Rabby Wallet is supported as well, which I'm a huge fan of. You connect your MetaMask. Also, just for information, I will post these slides later online as well, so you can look through them at your own speed, at your own pace as well. You give some permissions to the site, and it's connected. Initially, MetaMask is connected to mainnet, but because we're giving this demo, it will tell you you're on the wrong network. So you switch it to Sepolia by clicking the green button. You tell MetaMask, sure, it's okay, switch to Sepolia. And now you see, okay, we're connected, still 0 flip. And we do the two-step dance of approving and sending tokens. So you approve your flip. You tell MetaMask, okay. Initially, we ask an approval for 10 flip just to be sure that it all works. You approve it. And then you wait a little bit for the confirmation to appear. For the transaction to go through, so the confirmation is okay. Once it's gone through, you can go ahead with funding your account. So this is basically what you're doing now, is onboarding into the Chainflip network with an account. You fund it by clicking the Fund Chainflip Account button, and MetaMask will ask you to send 5 flip to the Chainflip State Chain Gateway, which is basically the contract that manages everything Chainflip related on the Ethereum chain. You confirm this transaction, and we wait a little bit until the flip goes through. Once the transaction is done, there's a little bit of time, and that's a nice part of these slides now. It goes really quickly. It can take a few minutes after the transaction is done to have the balance on your account to be updated, because it has to be indexed. So once the transaction has gone through and you see your current Chainflip balance updated, you can continue with the registration. The next step of the registration is to give your account, which is now funded, a role. Chainflips works with concept of roles. So an account can be either a validator, a broker, or a liquidity provider. In this case, your newly created account needs to be assigned the broker role. So you click the Assign Broker role. This will create a transaction to the Chainflip network, which means Polkadot wallet shows up. You sign this. And you will see after a few seconds, this goes really fast, you will have the current role broker. And then you can continue to the next step of the registration. So the first few steps we just took was basically they're the same steps for somebody trying liquidity provisioning on the Chainflip network, or for somebody running a validator, which is creating an account and funding it with Flip. The next step is taking that account, you see the account ID, and registering it with Broker as a Service. You give it a name, you give it an email so we can stay in touch if you need help, and you choose your commission in basis points. A basis point is 1/100th of a percentage. So as an example, 15 basis points would be a commission fee for yourself of 0.15% on every swap that is done. In addition to this, so this is your commission that you want. In addition to this, the fee for using Broker as a Service is a very small 5 basis points, which means a user in this example would be charged with 0.20% on each swap, 0.15 for you, 0.05 for broker as a service. This is to keep the servers up and running, because some additional info to have a nice redundant system. And something you can keep in mind when you want to run your own broker is to be reliable or to be high available. It's best to have multiple servers, like 2 Chainflip nodes with 2 Chainflip brokers, both load balanced and DDoS protection, all set up. So this is what the 0.05% fee is being used for. Once you've filled in all the details, you can register and you get an API key and an admin key. An admin key can be used to change your commission at a later point and to easily redeem your, withdraw your earned commissions. Store them somewhere, because you will need the API key to integrate with the Broker as a Service API. At this point, you're all set up. This was really the hardest part, most clicking. The next part for a developer is the easy part, because you're going to be using a simple HTTP API. You get some Swagger documentation, you get some written documentation, you get some curl examples of calls, which is something every developer is familiar with. So hardest part is done. We got our API key. We can get started. You registered. The basic code samples, I will show them in a minute, are provided in the documentation. Broker as a Service is set up as a simple REST service, so you don't need to do RPC calls. You don't need to use specific libraries. You can use any programming language that can make HTTP calls, can basically integrate Broker as a Service. The nice part as well is you don't need a backend, so you don't need to run an API. You can hire, or yourself, if a front-end engineer, front-end developer, you can integrate Chainflip in a few days by just making some HTTP calls. The nice part as well is, because you don't do RPC calls and you don't have to expose a broker node to the internet, Broker as a Service offers you some extra features, like users can't change the commission because it's not exposed. Otherwise, a hacky and handy user could change the request and change the commission in the URL to say whatever he wants, but then in the end, he could also go straight to the Chainflip website, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I digress. Let's have a look at the demo for the, let me share my screen for the demonstration about the HTTP calls. Hold on, share. There we go. So for the demo, I prepared some Postman calls to give you an idea about how easy it is. I think, let me look at this screen. Okay, I zoomed in, so it's readable. Base URL is basically the URL of Chainflip Broker, where you're registered. In this case, we're doing the demo on Perseverance. Is this showing up? Yep. And some calls are unauthenticated. Some calls are authenticated with the API key. You don't have to worry about giving out your API key. It's all public. The only thing somebody else can do with your API key is make swaps for you and earn you money. So no worries if it leaks. And that's why I also said you don't need a backend. It's safe in a browser. You can make a static HTML site that does swapping, because everything that goes over the wire is public. People are free to see it, and there's no problem. While I'm talking about public and everything, your Chainflip account is also non-custodial, so it's your keys, your money. Broker as a Service doesn't touch any of the assets passing it, doesn't touch any of your commissions. So that's why it's important to store that Polkadot key, because you're in full control. We have an endpoint, assets, which is pretty basic. It shows you all the assets supported for broker as a service with some additional information. The minimal amount that a swap requires, for example, for USDC on Ethereum, has 6 decimals and you need to swap at least 20 USDC. Broker as a service also shows you amounts in human readable form and in the native unit of the coin. So 6 digits in case of USDC, 18 for Flip and Ethereum, 8 for Bitcoin. So you can use both in your application. You can work with a native amount and you can display the human readable stuff. We got some other utility calls like seeing the balance of your broker. And you will see in this case, it's the API key from our demo. This is a simple GET request to balance with your API key, and you see how much Flip is in there. You saw that registration and the registering of the broker role took a little bit of Flip of it. The idea is that the 5 Flip that you fund will last you a lifetime because it's so cheap to start a swap. You can also see how much you earned with the fees. And since this is newly created, you see we haven't earned anything yet. The most important endpoints are quoting and swapping. So for example, you can say, give me a quote for swapping 20 USDC to USDT by using the quote endpoint, defining the source asset, the destination assets, and the amount. We have the quote endpoints as well in the short form or in the native unit. So in this case, it's also 20 USDC. And when you, demo is not happy. Yeah, it's the wrong API key. Yeah, that some calls I haven't added the API key yet. So in this case, I want to swap 20 Flip to USDC on Arbitrum, and it says me, okay, you can get 754 USDC for your 20 Flip. You get some additional information as well, like the fee structure in this asset, in this swap, and how long the swap would take. So you can present that to your users. Once they are happy and they decide like, okay, I want to make a swap, you simply call the swap endpoint with your API key and the source and destination assets you want to swap between, along with destination address where they need to end up. You will notice you don't have to give the amount in here. This is because what the swap call actually does is open a deposit channel, which is a deposit channel is a system in Chainflip. When you do a swap, you're opening a channel for 24 hours, which allows the user to send funds, which whatever way he prefers. Like you could make one of our users is a Discord bot, which means Discord doesn't have a way to send transactions in the application. So people get presented with this deposit channel and asked like, use whatever wallet you want to send assets to this destination, to this deposit address, and it will get swapped for you. In an integrated solution, you would help out the user by giving him the option to like, okay, I swap, you make the swap call. We'll do it right now so you can have a look. You do the swap call and you get back a deposit address, and then you create a transaction in whatever library you prefer. It's WAGMI or Ethers, I believe. That's common, or Rainbow Kit. You create a transaction and you present the user to sign it with their wallet, their connected wallet. So we get back an address, a deposit address. We get some extra information. It's swap ID 18. And we also get an Explorer URL. So people who want to verify, trust but verify, can go there. Oh, this opens in MetaMask. This opens in Postman. I will go. I won't be able to because it shares. It's not my entire screen that's shared. After the demo, I will go there. And so you can see the channel. And we're gonna send some flip to it now. So we did a quote with 20 flip, but that's also a nice thing. Nice thing of chain flip deposit channels. You can send as much flip as you want there, as much of the source asset you want there. It will all get swapped on arrival. I'm just thinking out loud now for my demonstration. I'm going to go stop sharing for a moment and switch to sharing my browser because we're going to continue in there. Stop sharing and present my browser. Share. Thank you. So now I can also show you the Explorer URL since we're in the browser. Copy. So this was the URL we got back from the swap call. You see the same details come in here as well. Blockchain and positioning block. Channel ID, sorry. And you will see it has a deposit address here as well. Here you will see the commission, like I said, for broker as a service is 0.05, and the commission for the account is 0.15. You will see the different IDs here as well. This being the ID of our Polkadot wallet we just registered with the flip balance we funded. You see, we funded it 24 hours ago, and we opened a channel, and the user sees 0.20 as a total. This is, by the way, your detail page about your own broker. Here you will see all the collected fees you got, how much volume you've done, how much is available for withdrawal. Nothing yet. We haven't done anything yet. See, it's all 0. If we go back here, we see the destination address and the deposit address. So we're going to do a transaction to this deposit address. We're going to send. So this is what you would do automatically in your application. You would create, if you want to make it easy for your users, you would use your library of choice to make a transaction to the deposit address you received for the amount the user wants. Oh no, not enough gas. Ugh. Oh no, it's flip. That's what you get when creating new accounts for demos. So we create the transaction, we send the flip. Off it goes. No clue, network is busy. Let's hope it goes through. It's pending. Yeah. Okay, so it went through. Let's have a look on our deposit channel. In a moment, it will show up here as being in progress. There we go, pending deposits. Our 20 flip is coming our way, coming chain flip's way. So this is also what I meant with broker as a service is not touching any assets. The assets are going straight from the user to the chain flip network. Broker as a service is not touched, so your application is also not touched. You're not holding any user funds at all. On testnet, I think it's 6 Ethereum confirmations before the swap goes through. For Bitcoin, it's 3, and for Polkadot, it's finalization. but they have Chainflip has an upcoming feature, boosted swaps, which will also be available in Broker as a Service, which allows the users to pay a little bit of extra fee and get an instant swap. So no waiting for 3 confirmations on Bitcoin, because half an hour is long. You can say, like, I give an extra 0.05% as a fee, and my Bitcoin swap happens in minutes. So the swap happened. We can see it. We can go to the swap. So this is what the user would see. The user would see that this deposit channel is used. He got his swap, which is still sending out the funds, it seems. Yeah, sending. So we got 500. Keep in mind, this is testnet. These values are not representative. $1,600 is not equal to $560. But our 20 flip, after 19 and a bit after fees, results in $586 on Arbitrum. It's being sent. And that's basically the end for the user. His funds will arrive in a second. I'm just waiting. I want to show it as well. I wonder if MetaMask will already show it. I mean, tokens. Wasn't a good idea to use a demo to send to Arbitrum. I think Sequoia. Okay, now. Okay. So this is more of an advanced feature of Chainflip. When you see this, you know that all the validators have signed the transaction to send out the assets to the destination as soon as this shows up. So from an endpoint, from a user endpoint, a swap has gone through. I mean, you created. I'm going to go back to another window. You created the swap. I just find back my Postman window. Presentation first. Share my Postman window. There we go. So what we did from a summary we did for the user is we got him a quote. We initiated the swap. The user did the swap. And now we can go back and have a look at our fees. And I already clicked it. And we will see we earned some commission, 0.015 on 20, which seems to be correct here. And this is how you integrate Chainflip in an easy way. If I remember correctly, it was swap 16. Let me check. Swap 18. So while this is happening, I mean, you don't expect your user to go to the scan link, of course, to the Explorer link. You do the quote yourself. You do this. You call the swap endpoint yourself. You get back your deposit address. You either instruct the user to deposit funds there, or you help him out by using your app, your service, your website to make the transaction yourself. And while it's happening, you can use either the ID you got back here or the combination of these 3 items to get the status of the swap. So let's have a look at swap 18. And you can see, just pull this up a little bit. In the beginning, this will say awaiting funds. Let me just start another swap, number 19, probably. 19. Let's get the status for a newly opened swap. And so you can see from 18, broadcast requested is where the swap is finished and the validators have been asked to send out the assets. Swap 19, you have to wait a few seconds until it gets picked up. Being too fast. While it is being indexed, I will go over the details you get in the status call. So you can show your user from where to where, destination address. Basically, the extra thing that you can show the user here is the exact fees, the exact amount that he's receiving, and all the times, the time when everything happened. Okay, so swap 19, you can see it's awaiting deposit. And there's other statuses are available in the chain flip documentation. I don't know them by heart, but there's incoming. So it's awaiting deposit while it's happening and while it's being swapped, while it's being sent out. You get all these updates. An important one in the status is deposit channel expired. So I said a deposit channel is active for 24 hours. Realistically, you expect your users to get a quote, start a swap, and then send it. They have the option to wait a few hours and to send it. If they send it outside, if they send it to an expired channel, there's no way to get their funds back. You can check this status flag to see if the channel is still active, to let them know. In the end, you don't have control over when they send their funds, so the best we can do is help them. Realistically, they send right away if you have a nicely integrated application. That's it for the flow of having a swap, the main flow. Then for your own dashboards, you can make, this shows only completed swaps. You have a swaps endpoint where you can see all your completed swaps as well. So that's it for the broker as a service endpoints. Let me go back to my slides. Stop sharing. Let's see what else I had prepared. So our two guys, Alberto managed to add Chainflip to his application because he didn't need to set up any infrastructure. I'm sorry, I was distracted. Because he didn't need to set up any infrastructure, he could use his skills in whatever his mobile application was built in to make the HTTP calls, to add swapping to his end users, and he's happy. And Marco has some extra additional routes to add to his aggregator in just a few days. I've mentioned it a few times by now what the advantages of broker as a service are. The main ones are to get people up and started really fast, perfect for a hackathon as well. And whatever you make during hackathon, you can then launch it in production afterwards and start earning some money. So you don't need the infrastructure. Realistically, that saves you quite a bit of money and time as well, because you need to keep your servers patched. You need the firewalls up to date. You need everything, all the stuff needed to keep servers running. Little feature is the commission protection. Like I said, if people don't want to pay a commission, they will go to Chainflip directly. But let's say if somebody wants to be smart and use your API key, but change the commission to 0, and whatever system you have built on the backend can't deal with that, broker as a service protects your minimum commission on each swap. Like if you define during the registration you want 15 basis points. You can always go higher. We will add an extra parameter, an optional parameter in the swap endpoint to say like, okay, this is a bad user or a non-VIP user. He gets 30 basis points. You add a fee on him, but they can't change it to go below the 0.15 you entered. So yeah, it's the DOS protection. People can't, if you host it yourself, a broker, people can spam it. You have to make sure that you don't expose all the calls, because one of the calls is redeeming funds, and you don't want, maybe that changed in 1.4, I don't know, in the latest release. You don't want people to just start posting RPC calls to your broker, because the broker manages your keys. Otherwise, browser friendly, which means that you don't need a backend. And I like this in particular because I got quite a few front-end friends who don't like to do backend development, and got some designer friends as well. Basically, they can, it's an extreme example, but they can create a design for the local soccer team to say like, you can buy tickets for our match with any supported assets, any supported chain flip asset, export it as a static HTML. People can go to that soccer team site, do a swap, since it's all a static HTML. The destination address is the soccer team wallet, and there you go. A non-developer or a non-backend developer managed to add a shopping feature to a soccer team, to his local soccer team website. So it opens up a lot of possibilities, in my opinion. So I say so too much. Are you ready to make some money and do so with Broker as a Service? And I'm going to have a look in the comments if there are any questions from people that they would like answered. I'm going to be posting the links later as well to the presentation, and yeah.
So thanks a lot for the great presentation. Maybe let's give the audience some time to digest all the valuable information that you've shared. It would be good if you could let the hackers know what they could build, what you would like to see. Maybe share a bit more about what you like to see being built at this hackathon.
At the hackathon in general, we like to see. So I'm not speaking for Chainflip. I should have mentioned this at the beginning as well, introducing myself. I'm just a community member for Chainflip who just stuck around from the beginning, and who is building all kinds of things on top of Chainflip, like Broker as a Service. But for the hackathon in general, what they would like to see is people thinking outside of the box. On one side, using the Chainflip SDK itself, which gives me a nice point I forget to mention as well. So Chainflip has a JavaScript SDK to integrate with the normal brokers, so not Broker as a Service, with the regular broker. And Broker as a Service also has an endpoint that allows plugging in the Chainflip SDK directly in Broker as a Service, which means that teams who have started integrating Chainflip with the Chainflip SDK spend some time, days, weeks, whatever, integrating it, and decided like, we're tired of having to keep these servers up and running. We're tired to maintain them. They can easily switch to Broker as a Service by changing one line of code in their configuration to point to Chainflip as a broker in the Chainflip SDK, and everything will happily keep on working, except they don't have to manage any more servers. So where was I? Yeah, so SDK. So Chainflip has this SDK. One track of the hackathon is people doing all kinds of things with this SDK, like I don't know, like the soccer example I just invented, integrating the SDK in applications, making a betting game, maybe making. This is up to the inspiration of people, but the SDK just plugs into the Chainflip network, allows people to do swaps, allows people to add some extra information on a swap to maybe make other networks accessible. Like you can have a swap which calls a smart contract afterwards. So people would have to make smart contracts and then integrate the SDK to do a swap and call that contract to do something else. Maybe call another aggregator, like first do the first leg of a swap on Chainflip, and then send the end result assets to TorChain or Uniswap or OneInch or another smart contract, which then does the second leg to maybe go from Bitcoin to USDC on Chainflip, and then from USDC to Dog with Hat on Ethereum. Well, bad example. To Doge. That's a possibility people can do. Then there's a second track that tries to integrate all the other cross-chain technologies like Maya Chain and TorChain and Chainflip together. This ties a little bit into my example that I just invented. But in that case, it's also up to the imagination of the people. Like one of the examples was figure out the way to provide liquidity to all three in one go. That's a nice part of this hackathon. I mean, that's not my area of expertise, the smart contract and integrating between the chains. So I leave that up to others. The third track is more applicable to this workshop, is whatever. Do whatever you want with Chainflip. You don't have to use the SDK. You don't have to integrate another chain. You can build anything you want on Chainflip. You can build June dashboards. You can build liquidity provisioning front ends. You can build anything. And to help out in that case, I've built broker as a service, because people can then onboard easily as a broker if they want to do swaps. But they're not limited to just swaps in this third track. Like I said, they can do stuff for liquidity provisioning. What other things?
So far, it sounds pretty exciting. So like, I also would like to see things that are outside of the box or unique.
Yeah. That's why it's hard to come up with examples, because it's the imagination of people that will make this work, and then we can iterate on that. Yeah.
I think so far there is no more questions. If you forgot to say anything, feel free to share. If not, we could wrap it up very soon.
That's pretty much it. I'm around on the Discord of Chainflip, on the Telegram group of Chainflip. You can find me on Twitter as well. Chainflip broker website. I recommend reading the docs. Everything I've talked about here is explained there in detail with screenshots, with examples of code. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to people getting in touch. We have 4 brokers in production so far, which are using a broker as a service. So looking forward to this hackathon for people to learn how easy it is to integrate Chainflip and to get to get decentralized swapping more out there, because we see daily, one of the things I've built as well is an info bot that spams everywhere about all the swaps that happen on Chainflip. We see daily swaps coming through, which have like nearly no slippage. in a decentralized way, sometimes offering better prices than centralized exchanges. I myself am providing some liquidity in stable coins, USDT to USDC, and we see that people swap on Chainflip because they get a better price from $1 to $1 than on a centralized exchange. So that's also a use case people can do. Build a stablecoin exchanger platform or something, or an arbitrage bot using Chainflip. So that's it. Thanks for giving me the time.
All right. Thank you so much. And I think those tools are also very useful and nice, and I probably use it myself. And maybe that's also good for hackers, like build something that's very usable that would you use yourself, and others would use it as well. I think that's a good way to onboard like the next million or even more people into Web3. So like, thanks, David, today for giving us this incredible workshop and presentation. I think the audience has learned a lot how to build with BaaS. Feel free to reach out to David, join the Discord of Chainflip if you have any questions, and yeah, check out the cool products they're building. Join the community, and there's way more workshops happening here on YouTube and Binance Live, so feel free to also subscribe to our channels. And I'm looking forward to the next workshop. So see you guys, and thanks a lot for joining us today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.